Hi everyone, it's me Willow and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm here with another fun movie review after coming home from the Toronto International Film Festival. I was there for 10 days and got to see 30 movies in total, and one of those movies was the third runner-up for the People's Choice Award this year, and that is Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery from, once again, director Rian Johnson. This is his third installment in the Knives Out mystery franchise, and I always love seeing Benoit Blanc come back onto my screen. Daniel Craig is a fantastic, sassy, suave detective, and I always love seeing a new rendition of these Knives Out movies. And I really loved this one. I got to see I believe it was the world premiere at TIFF, so that was so fantastic. Got to see it with a group of my friends, so it's always fun when you're rushing with friends as well. We got to see a Q&A afterwards with Rian Johnson, and also the entire cast that's including Daniel Craig, Josh O'Connor, Glenn Close, Josh Brolin, Mina Kunis, so many others. Like, it was just such a blessing, honestly. And I really loved this installment too. I still think I hold the first Knives Out the highest in my rankings, and I really did love Glass Onion, so I think I need to rewatch Glass Onion before I can really compare the two because they're just so different. I really like that Wake Up Dead Man goes in a completely new direction rather than focusing kind of on the wealthy and the eat the rich plotline. We're focusing more on theology and Christianity and what people define Christianity. We're seeing two opposing priests and what their definition of, religion and Christianity is. We have Josh Brolin, who is a more pessimistic and believes God does not forgive and he's out there to punish us for our sins. And then we see a younger priest who's played by Josh O'Connor, who's very hopeful, maybe naive to an extent, and believes that God is always there to forgive us and has our best interest in heart. So I think this discussion about theology is very well done, and Josh Brolin and Josh O'Connor, the two Joshes, have some very interesting conversations about their beliefs. We get this one really great scene, I think it's like kind of halfway through, and they are giving confession to one another, and we have a couple scenes like this, and it's obvious that Josh Brolin is really trying to pester Josh O'Connor's priest character by saying some of the most horrendous confessions, and we really see Josh just like lose it at this one point and not understand why he's not being welcomed and he's really being outcast by Josh Brolin's priest character and his whole congregation, which is like assembled by a lot of regulars who are maybe being preyed on Josh Brolin's religion and his promises for good. So really do love this whole group. Like I said, we get to see like Kerry Washington and Kaylee Spaney. We get to see a whole big group of A-list actors. Like, I love the Knives Out series just because we always get to see a lot of master classes from these actors. One criticism I do have about this installment is that because there's so many characters, I do wish we maybe developed them just a little bit. A couple of the characters, like Kerry Washington's character, does get a little bit more development, and I think I felt more akin to her because we do get to learn a bit more about her and the different levels of her character. And we do have Jeremy Renner, who I think his character is lacking development. He plays a very poignant part in the film in the second half, and we don't really know much about his character except that his wife was his life and now his wife has left and divorced him. So he's kind of left in this like does not know what to do situations, kind of like at home all the time, very depressed. So we just know a little bit about him, and I wish we dived a bit deeper, and then I would have got more of a payoff at the end with his character. just a few criticisms. I think some of the other characters also could have used a bit more development. Maybe Kaylee Spaney's character. She is this world-class like violinist who has really bad chronic pain that has her in a wheelchair most of the time because she can't move without a lot of chronic pain, and she's lent into the church in Josh Brolin's congregation because he's promised that God can heal her, and she's given over a lot of her own wealth over to the church in the belief that she will be able to be healed from her chronic pain and get back to her life that she once knew. I do think that's a really intriguing storyline, but again, she doesn't get much story time. She doesn't get much time to shine, and has one of the biggest come ups, I think, in the last like 2 years. I would have given Kaylee Spaney a little bit more to work with. And I think that's just my biggest criticism, is that there are so many ensemble characters that we don't get enough time to develop with them. Though I do think Josh O'Connor's character is a big standout. I would say he's in the film even more than Benoit Blanc. He is so well suited to this character. I just love seeing Josh O'Connor and the different roles that he can do. This is the second time that he's played a priest. He did play a priest in the new adaptation of Emma in 2020, I believe. So it's interesting to see him back in this kind of role, but it's a very different priest character. So I really do love that he is, dedicated to try and solve this murder with Mila Kunis's cop character, which is another character that I don't really like. I feel like they could have developed her a bit more, or if I'm being honest, I kind of have a bit of a bias towards Mila Kunis just with everything between her and Ashton Kutcher and how they've defended their that 70s co-star with his sexual assault allegations. So I do feel kind of weird about her as like a person and as an actor. So I don't know if it was just my bias, but I don't think that she was like a standout in this cop role. I really do think she could have been interchangeable with another actor who could have really owned this cop role. So again, kind of made me disappointed. I really do like the cops in the first film, so I wish she kind of took on that attitude a bit more rather than just like, I felt like she was wearing the costume rather than being the character. So another criticism, but again, Josh O'Connor, I think he works really well with Mila Kunis's character in trying to solve this mystery, and then he's able to become vulnerable with Benoit Blanc's character, and they're trying to figure out the mystery together too. So I really do think the mystery is great in trying to uncover what has happened. Why has this character died? Who murdered him? Was this foul play? And, each scene, we're kind of learning a bit more about this mystery and uncovering maybe it's not as, plain as we assumed it would be. I do think I kind of knew who was involved with the mystery from the very beginning. So again, maybe another criticism that it was a little bit too predictable, but sometimes they say the best mysteries are the ones that you can figure out. So I think it really depends on where you lean on that mystery. I really love not knowing until the very end and being like stunned with the reveal. That didn't really give me this with this film, unfortunately. I felt like I was slowly uncovering the mystery, and before they gave us this big reveal at the end, I already knew the answer. But I also do think there is another aspect, like this is a very multi-layered mystery, and there's another portion of the mystery with this like deep history with the church and like the wealth with the church and it going missing, and portraying this one character as like a harlot for wanting to have this wealth just to be, financially stable. I also think that commentary is very intriguing as well, and how a lot of the time the church can shame certain individuals for not following, every single step that the church says that you have to follow. So again, like I think my favorite part of this film was the narrative story with the theology approaching something different, not just following the same eat the rich narrative, but falling into Christianity is not bad at all, but the people in power who want to be arrogant and use religion to control people, that is what we need to look out for. And I think this comparison between Josh Brolin's priest and Josh O'Connor's priest is so well written and very well acted, very well directed. So that's definitely my favorite part and definitely have me coming back in December because I believe it's coming out at Christmas time. So I'll definitely be watching it again when it comes on Netflix, just because I do think that whole theology aspect is very new and refreshing, and just with our political climate right now and how theology, specifically Christianity, is often getting pushed into politics and public education. I think it's very, very interesting to, discuss this in an art form, in film. So, yes, I really did like Wake Up Dead Men Knives Out. Again, I don't think it's up there with the first one just because the first one was so unique, such a, you know, complex yet stunning reveal. I'll never forget that movie. So, this one, I think, is also very funny. Wake Up Dead Man has a lot of humor. I think Josh Brolin is a big part of that humor. He is very hilarious, and his confession scenes, he just has it on point with those humor marking. Some actors, they just have their comedic timing, and Josh Brolin really does have that on pat in this film. I think the production design is also very intriguing. We're always kind of in one location. In the first film, we were in the big house. In the second one, we were kind of on this ship on the island in this far isolated place because it was during COVID. And then in this film, we're really fixated on the church and then also the home, Josh Brolin's home. But we also go outside of the property, which I guess we do in the first film as well. We kind of go to the restaurant and we go to a couple of different people's houses. So I think this one's much more expansive as well compared to the second one, which was very isolated. So I like that Rian Johnson is able to have such a diverse anthology series with the Knives Out. And I think that's the one reason why it really does work, is that it follows this anthology narrative story of trying to change it every once in a while and have something more new and more relevant. I definitely think, again, some of the humor, it's very 2025, so I'll be interested to see how this film ages maybe in 10 years. I think you could say the same thing for Glass Onion, and with the COVID pandemic storyline, how does that fare, 6 years later? I think it came out in 2020 or 2022. So 5, 6 years after, what's it going to do in another 5 years? How are people going to react to the film? So I'm always a little wary with that when we have such a now storyline and the humor is very apparent to the current climate and zeitgeist. So maybe another criticism, just because I wonder how this film will age with some of the humor, but I think the theology narrative will age very well. I think the question that it's posing, what side of theology and Christianity do you side on? Do you side on, we love thy neighbor, we want to be very giving, we want to see the best in people? Or are we going to use Christianity and theology to be scared, to have a fearful mindset, to be worried that we are going to be damned to hell? We have to be able to forgive and look to the greater good and be there for community. And I think this film really does touch on that and show that, sometimes we do make mistakes, but we can own up to them and try and do good for the future. So yes, I think this film is very well done, very well directed, has a great cast, production design is fantastic. I also think the costumes are pretty good too. I think specifically Benoit Blanc has some fantastic looks in this. He always has some great suits, but specifically the last suit that he's in, woof, he just looked so damn sexy in that last suit with his flowing blowout. man, Daniel Craig, he just is aging like fine wine. So, love the costumes too. I always look for the costumes. So, let me know what you guys think of Wake Up Dead Man and Knives Out Mystery if you guys have had the chance to see it. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about the first Knives Out and also Glass Onion. If you guys have thoughts about the anthology series, I'd love to have a discussion down below in the comments. If you enjoyed my review, please leave it a thumbs up because all this engagement really does help me push out into the algorithm and gets me across to more like-minded people like yourself. If you're interested in pop culture content, give me a subscribe and hit the notification button because I try and post here multiple times a week with more film reviews, more awards information. I'm trying to be more active here on YouTube, but I'm also on TikTok. If you guys want to follow me there, I post every single day. I'm also an awards expert, so if you're interested in how the awards season's going and what my predictions look like, check out my profile on Awards Expert to get all your updates. And yes, thank you guys so much for watching my video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!